Hello and welcome to Myra's Crafting Playground Advent Calendar Day 19. Day 19. Oh my goodness. How many more sleeps? 5 more sleeps? It was pointed out to me that the winter solstice is on Saturday the 21st and the days are going to start getting longer again. So I'm looking forward to that because I don't know, ever since they played around with daylight savings times, I've been a little off my game. So anyhow, I hope your plans are coming along. I'm at the point of checking my list twice and making sure that I haven't forgotten anything. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. This is today's card. And this card uses the Wintry Treetops bundle. I've really only used the big stamp set here. Then the verse, the Merry Christmas, is from this, the Peaceful Seasons bundle. And that's because inside that bundle, they have the shadow die and the word die for the word Christmas. And then I used, of course I'm wearing red, the little Mary die stamp here. So if you're more European or British and you prefer the Happy Christmas versus more Canadian Merry Christmas, they've got them both here. So that's really up to you what you prefer to use. But those are the bundles I'm using, and as well I am using this paper pack, which is the Sentimental Christmas. And it's actually the back of this paper that gives us all of our snowflakes that we'll be using today. So let's get started. I have already pre-cut out my Christmas dies and the word die and the shadow die. So let's go down to the table here, the forever messy table, and see how it's grabbing some stuff to knock it down as well. Okay, so there's our card, and I'll just put that off to the side here. Again, I did the sideways fold. So you can decide what you prefer, but that's what I did. So these are the Stampin' Blends that I used. I used the Light Pecan Pie, the Dark Cherry Cobbler, and the Dark Poppy Parade. I just wanted some distinction in between the wings and the body of the birds that I turned into cardinals, so that's what I did there. And before we start coloring, I always like to, I didn't put tape on that yet. I like to minimize my pieces, so I'm going to get started by just putting my card base together and get that out of the way. So as always, my card base is 4 1/4 by 11 when I'm doing it the long way. And this is metallic copper, actually. That comes in you can get the brushed metallic bundle as well now, and I believe that one has the copper. So I'm taking all the tape off, but I'm not sticking anything together. Okay, so my 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 5.5, and I'm going to put my copper base down, and it just grabbed somewhere I didn't want it to, so let's just say release paper. Abracadabra, release. Alright. So we are just going to put that down. Then I'm going to add my snowy layer on top. This is lovely paper, good for gingerbread houses as well. Ha! And you know what I did? Remember a couple of videos ago I said, oh, I'm going to forget the ribbon, I'm going to forget the ribbon. Guess what I did? I forgot the ribbon. Okay, so I am going to just sort of pop the tape on each end, and I'm going to slide it in. Oh my goodness, and we're off to a roaring good start here. Okay, we are going to pop in the ribbon just when I thought we would be doing so fine. Along comes the ribbon and makes me go, darn it, darn it, darn it. But that's okay. I'm going to start calling this series What Can Go Wrong When Card Making and How to Fix It. Because we've been doing a lot of that, I tell you. My lessons here have been wonderful. So I have this tool that is from another company that actually the end goes thinner and more flexible, but I broke it, so I cut it, trimmed it, and filed it down. But it's pretty much just a very sharp edge that I can get in behind there. Okay, so let's try this again. 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. This foil layer here is 4 by 5 1/4. This is 3.75 by 5, and I have a piece of ribbon that would then be at least, oh, I don't know, maybe 6 inches long, so you can get it in there without having to worry about it being too short. So that's my base card. Now I do have my little bow, but I'm going to save that one for later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to stamp my stamp, and I'm using Memento ink because when I go to use my Stampin' Blends, and they are an alcohol ink marker, I don't want them to smear with the black. So I want to be able to use them without any problems. So I am stamping down my birds, and now I will just give them a quick color in. Nothing too crazy. So we'll just put that aside. So nothing too crazy. I am just going to color in the berries here. Just going to color them in. I will be redoing the tops where there's that little lip. I will redo that with the cherry cobbler. So that it just sort of adds a little shading and dimension to them when you do that. Not all of them have the little nebby on top there, but some of them do. So I'm just going to do this quickly here. Nothing too crazy. I love how these markers just sort of slide on the paper, and you don't have to worry about streaking. So exciting to have alcohol ink markers. So now I'm just going to go in where it has that little nubby on top and add a little bit of shading. Now you can go into horrendous detail here, coloring these things, any image actually, and you know, I'm sure it'll be a beautiful job. I am literally just kind of adding color to the images so that they're pretty and they stand out, but by no means is this the most artistic thing possible. I'm sure there are other things that you could do to make this more colorful or more in-depth. So I'm just wanting the colors to blend nicely, so I don't want to go into too big an area before using another color, just so the paper is still wet so the colors can still blend together. And let's just go down here. It's a large area, we can just fill that in. And then I'm just go on to this one here. I'm giving them the cherry cobbler wings and tail. And then I'm giving them a poppy parade body. So we'll just color this in. Now where those lines are on the image, it kind of shows you where shading should sort of be. So if you were going to get super creative with your coloring, longer than I would have time here on the quick demo, you could really add some coloring, more coloring there. But I'm just going to, I'm going to stop before I make a mistake. Okay, so those are those two colors. And then just for the branch, we're going to add in some of the pecan pie. And I chose pecan pie because pecan pie is the color that I used, the cardstock, and also the paper, the designer series paper. Pecan pie was one of the colors that was in the designer paper. So I thought, okay, and reached for my pecan pie. We were out for a Christmas lunch today, and they actually had pecan pie on the menu. I didn't have any. Perhaps I should have. Maybe that's what's influencing me here this evening. Okay, so while I let that set for just a second, because we're going to do something with that, I'm going to break out my Mary, and I'm just going to stamp it on the end of this scrap paper. Oops. And so I can get the ink out of the way, because ink is always dangerous, and I know I ended up with some on my fingers before, and that wasn't good. And I ended some here on this as well, so let's wipe that off. All right. So what I did with this image after is so these pieces are all 3 inches by 1.5, and you need 3 of them. And then I took this, which is 2.75 by 3.75, and I'm going to cut this into 1.25 inch strips. So let me break out my cutter, and I said 1.25 inch. So we're just going to cut it up. All that hard work, and now we're just going to cut it up. So 1.25 inch. And you should have 3 exactly the right size. So I'm just going to take those. I'll have to bring the cutter back up for that. But I'm going to take these pieces now, and put them on a pecan pie mat. So let's get those done. And they're small enough, I should be fine with just doing 2 strips on each. I don't know if you remember, whoops, I went too low there, so I will put some on the top here. Oh, it fell off. Okay. I don't know, I was going to say, I don't know if you remember when I said that oh no, there it is, that I lost my tape when it was stuck on my belly. Well, I was just noticing as I'm taping these things here, I managed to get a little heart because the sides are sticky. And so you end up picking up different things when you lay it on your messy table. Not that you have a messy table. That could just be me, I'm sure. Because most other crafters, oh my goodness, when you see pictures of the crafting rooms, they're just so beautifully decorated and everything's placed and colors of the rainbow of paper, and yeah, I will tell you mine does not look like that. I'm stepping over things, and that's mainly probably because I just have too much, but anyhow. So we have a little heart on our tape, which is fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to just lay these down, and I'm going to start with the 2 outer ones. I'm going up a little bit because I have to have room for my Christmas down there. So I'm just going to go up a little bit. And actually, as I look at my original card, I see that I popped them, so that may be something you prefer to do. This time I'm just going to lay them flat. And I'm going to, see, and I didn't go flat there. I'm going to just see my uppermost point here using a ruler. Hopefully that'll work out well. And then I'm going to center this one in the middle. This way I know my outer edges are good, and the center one will make it work in between the 2 of them. Then I'm going to add on my colored image in the right order. That's key. Okay, so here's my birds. Here's the heads. We'll go there. And what's next in my hand here? This looks like the middle just because there's an abundance of coloring. So I'm going to hope that it's the middle, but we'll see when I turn it around. Yeah, that looks like the middle. So I'm going to sort of try to make it line up. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Come on, let go. Oh dear, it didn't let go. Okay. It did not let go. All right. So I'm going to put that there. And for the final piece, I'm lining up my branches is what I'm doing here. Okay, so that's not too bad. Then I will cut my Mary. I'm going to use my cutter just because I don't want my scissors to go wonky. So I'm going to just cut this as narrowly as I can to the Mary. So I just have a tiny little Mary word there. to, I'll just glue that down. It's a tiny little piece. So I just sort of pop that off a bit so I have room for my Christmas, which I haven't put together yet. But let's just see if he's there. I'm going to pop that there. Okay. So my Mary is good. I may as well pop on my little bow since it's right here. Oops. Okay. So we'll just pop our bow. This is just sort of a decorative little piece. Now, here's my shadow die for my Christmas, and my word die is actually still sitting in the die. Is that sneaky or what? And I didn't want to lose the little dot on top of the eye. So, okay, you know what we're going to try? I'm going to try and put this right on the shadow die just by poking out the word through the holes that are in the die, which are meant for you to poke out your word die. So this is perfectly held in place for me, which sort of seems like, hey, this is too good to be true. Well, let's find out, shall we? This is Stamping with Myra, Fixing Your Disasters. Let's go. So there's my S and my A. So let's start there. Sorry, I will show you what I'm working with in just a second. Not too bad. Move it down a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that on there, but there are these holes in the die that you can put your pick tool through and push down the contents. And then voila, it's there already. So this is also done with the pecan pie in the shadow and the copper for the main die. The actual word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a bead of glue just sort of across the top, because it's going to hang off a bit on the bottom. So we'll just run a bead along the top, and I'm going to put that right there. And I have my Merry Christmas. So the last thing I did to this card is I got some of my cherry cobbler and pearl adhesives, and so see how it looks just like the berries on the card? So I'm just going to add some here, and I'm going to grab another lot and stick them down there, and finally my last one out here, just to add a little bit more bling. And there we have it. Day 19. So just a different look for your images, larger images, that you can space them out and add something in between. and give it a new look. So I hope you enjoy that. Give it a try, and we'll see you tomorrow on day 20. And I think I have some surprises for you then. So have a great night. Myra Webb saying good night.